What's up, everybody? Another episode of Nights at the Round Table. We have Angela Johnson Reyes.
Hello.
Elise Bobis over there.
Hola. G'day. Sorry.
Be real,
G'day,
Brandon.
mate. Inauthentic.
Be real, Brandon Smith. All right. And today's going to be a good one, y'all. First of all, welcome back. And for those of you who joined us on the first one, we have this thing that we do. We crack open a new bottle of wine and try it out. Today's tasty choice.
Tell us about it, Manuel.
It's 2016 Central Coast, which means it's from the Central Coast.
In Australia.
It says Cupcake Vineyards.
Oh, Lord.
So
Vineyard.
I'm gonna say it's from the Central Coast of
California.
Cupcake Land.
You guys, it's Australian.
No,
Listen.
it's not. It's California's desirable
my bad.
Central Coast. Yes. Thank you.
We are so good at this.
Just let the wine guy do what he
Oh,
does.
so sorry.
Oh.
It is a Pinot Noir.
What does that mean, Manny?
That means it comes from the land of Pinot.
Yes, wow.
And its favorite genre is Noir.
Insightful.
It's elegant, structured berries. And there's an aroma of cherries. Okay, hey, smell that. Smell that real quick.
Listen. Okay, hold on.
Is there cherries?
I
Mama,
guess
take
I'm
over.
not the best guy when it comes to
Yeah.
Yo, this is either false rap. This is false advertising.
Here's the thing, you guys. When we get together and we're hanging out with our friends and we're having dinner and wine, none of us are wine connoisseurs. We just like it.
Yeah.
And Manny likes it the
Tastes-
least.
tastes like wine.
So he knows the least. Like, he'll just have a couple sips. So every wine that we talk about on this podcast is not going to be like some fancy pants wine that you've never heard of. It's going to be a wine you can get at your Ralph's,
Yes.
Safeway,
Trader
Publix,
Joe's.
whatever grocery store is in your hood.
Hopefully,
You'll be able to get this there, and it'll be between $12 and $16.
hopefully you guys have bought this, because we would have let you know that this is the one we're getting. But I just want to at least check out its label. It says that there's cherries, a hint of cherries.
Grapes? What?
I just smell sour. That's all it smells. It's just sour. That's what it says. Do you smell any cherries in it?
Yeah, I smell cherries.
Don't
What
lie.
else?
Don't lie to
I
us.
smell wine.
It just says
I smell chocolate. Does it say chocolate? in
no,
there?
structured berries and a bright aroma of cherries carries through the palate with a touch of red currants and a hint of spices. It's reminiscent of cherry cupcake, hence cupcake.
Yeah, I like it.
The name of it.
Oh, yeah.
It says, man, we missed out because it says eat it with lamb kebabs and smoked sausage, and you guys were just eating lamb.
Dang it.
Darn it.
That was
So
good
maybe,
too.
Well,
yeah.
I still have some lamb taste in my mouth, so
yeah, I think it's good.
it
Hey,
works.
that's what we're getting down with today. Hey, quick game.
Oh, okay.
Never have I ever.
Oh, Brandon's already
Oh.
drinking. Wow,
Oh.
he's done all the things.
Never have I
I got
ever
a clean record.
kissed on the first date.
Wait, I forget.
So what happens, you drink?
Yeah.
So if you have, then you got to drink.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Hey, the guys are the holy ones.
Doesn't have to be
Okay.
date. Elise,
I'm
that's rude.
keeping
You're
my
a
modesty
monster.
and my purity.
We're just modest
Yeah.
guys over here. We're just,
Congrats.
just trying to
we
be
get it.
integral.
Okay.
Go, babe.
Oh.
Never have I ever.
Shoots. And the thing that you never have ever say has to be something that you've never done, because you're saying
Correct.
never have I ever.
But that you think the other people have, so you can get them to drink.
Okay. Never have I ever. I'm just gonna say this because I know you two are pastors. Or pastors' kids.
This is
Never
bad.
have I ever hooked up with a visiting pastor's kid.
Rude. That's
Ooh.
rude. That's rude.
Who's drinking?
Um,
You have to be honest, Bobies.
Yeah.
I don't think I did on the trip.
No, just period.
Like a pastor that's visiting to
And by
your
hooked
church.
up, we don't mean like legit, like hooked.
Like you made
But
out.
here's the thing.
or-
I loved McDonald's. This will have us point. When I was growing up, and I ate it any chance I got, and I didn't know what exercise was. So I'm trying to say that to say that even if I wanted to hook up with someone, I wasn't like
nobody
growing
was
up,
trying to hook up with
no
you.
one, like that's rude the way to say it. Let me say that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, but it's true.
So,
So,
when did you hit your glow up then?
Los Angeles does wonders for people.
No, you glue up before that.
That's nice. I
Glue up.
Yeah, my dad thinks I glue up. So that's a thing now, huh?
I don't know.
When I was
It's a glow up.
when I was always.
Oh, you were always.
He was
a
like,
star.
you know how like Amy Schumer has that movie, like I Feel Pretty, and she thinks she's pretty all the time. I was like that because of my parents. I blame my parents. And then I went to high school and I was like, okay, good. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So nobody drinks on that one.
All right.
Oh, yeah, the
Brandon,
game.
you never hooked up with a
No.
visiting
Really?
preacher's
You're
kid?
talking
Nah,
to you're
straight
talking to
up.
David. All right,
Like,
guys.
I would text. That's about it.
Oh, you
But
do
I was like, yeah, I'm too big.
How's your
time
prayer
for you.
life?
I'm too
All
big
right.
time.
How's your
Praying for you.
Now my question was, are you spirit filled?
Yeah.
All right. What's
Go.
yours?
Okay. Never have I ever. Oh, y'all have pets. Never have I ever let my dog go doo doo on somebody else's lawn and then like not picked it up, or like in a public place and not picked it up. Yeah.
Man.
No, we always pick up. Oh, dang, babe. You let Bonzo poop in other people's.
Listen, I never let him poop on somebody's yard where anyone can step on it. But around the corner, there's this grassy area that I know no one's walking in this grassy area. And there's
do
been
you
a couple
know?
times that he's pooped and I won't pick it up because I'm like, I know no one's going to walk in
But
this
that's not
area.
nobody's yard.
No, it's somebody's house.
Oh, okay.
Not the
That's
side of
messed
the
up.
fence, the other house. But it's that long grass. Nobody's walking in that.
Man, that's disappointing.
You're welcome. It's hard to
Be
do
real?
on the go.
Yeah. I'm really trying to think about it. Never have I ever,
But you guys know each other. That's how you get people stumped.
never have I ever sent a dirty text to the wrong person.
Ooh.
Oh no, I haven't. Sorry, but I just think that'd be hilarious.
I never have.
Yeah.
I've done worse.
What?
I've done worse. If my boy Isaac hears this, it's gonna be hilarious. Isaac, our chiropractor.
Yeah, you
Your
idiot.
chiropractor?
One time,
You idiot.
I was
Fornicating.
getting down. It wasn't fornication. I didn't go all the way.
Heck yeah.
You were
And
doing the Christian do.
We were
Got
doing
it.
the Christian idea of doing it,
The Christian tango. Got
and
it.
and
Gene jamming.
Hashtag
Act-
Kill a Virgin. I hate you so
Because that was like the Christian kids, you know, it's
Oh
just
my
like, we're not going to go
God.
all the way.
But we gonna go some of the
We're
way.
kind of going to go a ways.
We're gonna go in the direction.
I hate
here it is.
you.
We're getting down, and I accidentally called my boy.
Your chiropractor?
Yeah, well, he wasn't my chiropractor back then.
It's like he's your boy. Where's your friend?
I accidentally called him, and it was on the whole time.
No.
While you was making out.
While we was getting down, it was a little heavier than making out. Like it was heavy.
the
Like, y'all
Christian-
praying.
Like we had to repent
I was
afterwards.
singing.
And
sound
this
foul.
nigga, yo, he was on the phone, and after we were
He
finished,
stayed on the phone
stay?
the whole time.
the whole time.
Nasty.
That's on him. That's on him. That is on him.
Oh, and then I see that it's on. I pick it up, and I'm like, "Hello," and he goes, "Manny," and I hung up on him. Then I call him back, and we had a long conversation because he was like, "Bro,"
About
and I was
boundaries.
Like, it sounded like it, but we didn't do it. I promise.
Oh my god.
I would tell you if we did it. And yo, but here's what I think. It was my boy Isaac, and that he loves me, right?
And he was
But
praying for
imagine if I accidentally called anyone else in that freaking phone book.
Oh,
Maybe
my
somebody who
gosh.
didn't love me, and they heard that whole thing.
That went viral.
They would have
too.
freaking recorded it and put that crap online.
Like
Luckily,
Maddie's new song out on Monday.
It's called
Ain't
I
that-
Need an Adjustment.
ain't that the Lord though?
Oh, what?
Protecting his little ones,
Okay.
even when they're being stupid.
Okay.
All right, that was a
Never
good
have
one.
I
Okay,
ever-
now you learned a little bit about us, maybe a little bit too much. On today's episode, we're going to talk about this, and it may be a little controversial, but let me preface this with, this is our personal stories. This is not us going against a whole system, but we're just saying our personal experience with everything. And the topic is the lie the church sold you. That's what we're talking about. The lie the church sold
Someone
you.
just shut the podcast off right there.
Hey, we ain't talking about a
Triggered.
church or a specific church. When I say the lie the church
Yeah.
sold you, we all have this thing in our mind. That we gathered information either from pastors or multiple pastors or just messages or what our friends thought or whatever, how we were raised. We gathered this information and we thought, hey, this is supposed to be true. It wasn't that we checked it in the word or we backed it up. It was just everybody else was thinking this. That means it's right.
Yeah.
So it's a lie that you sold yourself or got sold on. And that's what I want to talk about, just so we can debunk some things. Who wants to go first?
Brandon, I feel like you're up.
The Spirit prompted you.
That's the
Look,
first lie.
I was in prayer for 4 hours before this podcast.
I hate you so
Ew.
much.
Yeah, I think
So
that one of
dumb.
the biggest lies that I was sold was that having doubt was a lack of real faith. And because I think we all have doubts if we're being really honest with ourselves. And growing up in such a structured family that was like ministry profile, it's like, you know, my dad is spitting all these like hot bombs from the pulpit,
Yeah.
you know, and everyone's like, yeah, it's so good, so good. And then you just can't be the pastor's kid that's like, I don't even know if God's real right now, you know? Like, that's like such a...
That's not a great way to close worship.
Yeah, you know, it's like, here you're the generation that's supposed to take it to the next level, whatever. And so I think there was underlying doubts I've had for a long time. And what I talked about last episode was one of those moments that caused me to kind of put everything on the table. I think like pain has a beautiful way of showing you what's real if you'll allow it to. And so I think this faith that I had been built up and had kind of ridden on for a long time, almost like as a ship. And it's like all these beliefs, all these core foundational beliefs that your parents instill in you, the church culture does, all these things. And I'd gotten to a point in my life where this ship that had gotten me so far finally wrecks. And so now I'm like sinking in the midst of the shipwreck, and I'm looking at all these things around me, all these things that I used to believe, and none of it's helping me. All these things are falling to the bottom of the ocean with me.
Wow.
And so it was in that season where I started to rebuild, where I'm like, what do I actually believe? And I think the thing that I really discovered was that any great faith has had great doubt.
Yeah.
Like faith is big enough for your doubt.
Yeah.
Faith is big enough for your questions. And I would propose, if you're not asking questions and you don't have doubt, do you really have faith? Because faith so much has been synonymous with having the right beliefs. It's like being so sure, this is what I believe. This is the hill I'll die on.
Right.
This is what I know. And to me, that's like, faith is all about trust and intimacy. So it's like, you are now walking by what you believe rather than who you are trusting.
Right.
And so if I have all these things figured out, that's a God that I've made up now.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
Where's the space for the mystery? Where's the space for the things that you don't know? Like, again, we're supposed to be stewards of a mystery. What is a mystery? You don't know it. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And so I remember this one moment where I was reading this one book. It's this guy, his name's Brian Zahn, and he had this book called Water to Wine, and it's kind of his story. And he's talking about this moment where he's kind of taking a survey of his faith at this point in his life. He'd pastored a church for like 20 plus years or whatever. And he's in this place, and he says, I realized that my faith had gotten too safe. Where was the magic in what I used to believe? And I think like, I remember sitting at my desk. This was the last church I was on staff at. And I remember having this moment where I knew, okay, if I open this door right now to actually explore these things that I'm doubting and these questions that I have, I'm not going to be able to go back to my old faith that got me this far.
Yep.
And it was one of those moments that, oh God, my life is about to change.
Yeah.
Like I just knew this means the death of my old faith.
Wow.
Yep.
And I remember sitting on my desk and I literally wept for 45 minutes straight. Like I just couldn't stop the tears, and I just knew, okay, I'm going to go on this journey. And it really kind of started my deconstruction phase where I was really breaking a lot of things down. But it was one of those things where I just realized, man, he actually encourages our questions, and he's okay with my doubt. And I think doubt has this beautiful thing that it can do to your faith. One, it can allow you to go deeper, but there's actually the things that you do believe, you can actually have conviction with it now.
Yeah.
Because it's been tested. And I wrote down a thought right here because I was thinking about this earlier, and I'm losing my train of thought. But it's this. Doubt doesn't have to be the ending, but could actually be an invitation to deepen your beliefs with conviction and courage.
Yeah.
And for, I think, a lot of people in the mindset that I grew up in the church, it was like doubt was the end point. Like, you know, like, oh no, you're losing your faith.
Yeah,
You're backsliding.
once you doubt.
You're done.
Right.
Once you doubt. And,
Right.
you know, even like Thomas in the Bible, he gets a bad rep. He was a martyr. Like, everyone's like, doubting Thomas. But I'm like, dude, he took a spear in his back. He died for the gospel.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, that's amazing. But
I think the beautiful thing about doubt is that what you said, like, it is the beginning of something, and it's the beginning of finding out how deep your faith really goes. Like, the doubt invites the proving of your faith. Because I think, man, at least once a week, to this day, I doubt if God's real. Why? Because I'm like, man, it's such a big story. It's such a crazy idea. Like, this whole idea that this unseen God that none of us has seen exists to take care of us, to guide us, to be that thing that we all are like, hey, all things work for those who love the Lord. You know, all things work. But you're 5 years into like just a pile of heaping crap in your life, and you're like, ain't nothing working right now. So of course I'm gonna doubt if the Lord loves me. When I finished like my career, I was like, how the hell did I try to do everything right and it still ended up messed up? I didn't understand. Like, there was massive doubt. Like, the first thing I did was, what did I do wrong? I must have done something wrong, because all of it ended poorly. It wasn't like yay, it ended. It was like, what the hell? Nobody likes me. And I doubted, like, man, God, I must have done something wrong. Maybe all these tallies of sin finally caught up to me. And so my doubt was rooted in like whether or not he loved me or not, whether or not this was actually like a real relationship, or I was just like this guy who just wasn't good enough. But I loved it because it answered a question. At the end of that, I realized, man, the greatest thing that I could ever be is just the son of God.
Yeah. The other thing too that I realized what doubt did to my faith was, before, my faith was very like, this is right, this is wrong, this is black, this is white, this is the box. And there's a certain certainty, there's a safety in knowing what you believe, the exact things.
Right. Right.
And so to throw that all on the table, that's scary as hell. Because you're like, if I put this in the middle, if I don't know if God is truly going to come through for me in this situation, what other things do I got to put on the table? And that is scary.
Yeah.
But the thing on the other side of coming through doubt and exploring your faith is that your faith becomes so much more textured, layered, nuanced. And I think it's just strengthened. When you think of something that's layered, it's like there's strength to it.
Yeah.
Like that thing, like I know that God, he loves me. Like I really do. When I was at my loneliest point in my life, the darkest place in my life, and God came through and he showed me his love, I don't have to doubt that anymore. But it wasn't until I could like get to that place of doubt and allow myself and give myself permission to be there, could I experience him in that way.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's really good.
Snaps for that.
Jeez.
I feel like my lie kind of is in the same family as what you just said, Brandon. There's so many things that come to my mind that I could say right now, but the one thing that I'm landing on is that there's a right way and a wrong way to have a relationship with God. And even if in the church they don't say these exact words, you have to do it like this, don't do it like this. Even if they don't use those words, it's, this is how we do it, and they show you. And if you're not doing that, or if you dare to question that, then it's like whoa, hold on. You're doubting? Are you losing your salvation? Wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember when I started asking questions, and questions that aren't typically welcomed in the church. Like, it's not a dialogue in church. When pastor's preaching, you don't get to go, but wait a minute, pastor, hold on.
Right.
You don't get to do that. It's not a dialogue. So it's not like questions really are welcomed. Like, you can like question, what did you mean by this? but you can't really question. I don't know that I agree with that. That's not necessarily welcomed. But anyway, so I remember when I started asking questions, and I was talking to a good friend of mine who is very in the church, and I remember saying to her, I just have some questions. And her response to me was, oh no. Should I be praying for you?
No way.
I'm not even joking.
Was she joking?
No.
Oh.
No, it was a serious response.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, oh, that exactly, like that right there. Like, we're not free to question how things are done. So then when your own spirit, your own intuition, your own Holy Spirit, your own guidance, your own moral compass starts to say, ooh, I don't know that I agree with that. You're not really allowed to say that. So I think that to me was one of the lies that I was sold, is that there's a right way to pursue God and relationship and Christianity, and there's a wrong way. And I don't subscribe to a lot of the ways that I used to. And what you were saying about what I know, as soon as I start asking these questions, there's no way that I can go back to my old faith that brought me to this point. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for my old faith that brought me to this point. I'm so grateful for the lessons that I've learned. I'm so grateful for the foundation that I've built. But now, as I've matured, as you were saying, babe, there's maturity. And what's that thing you said?
I said, when maturity comes simplicity.
Yes. So now I know that as I am maturing in my own faith, that it's okay to not agree with a lot of the things that I've been taught before, that I believed before, and that I co-signed on before, that it's okay to say, actually, you know what? I don't know that I believe that anymore.
And here's the funny thing, that I think our marriage became a literal personification of this, because I was very heavily churched, and this was like probably 2-3 years in that you started having like these massive questions, and I'm like, to the point where I'm like, holy crap, babe, like what are we doing?
Right.
Like, it was very intense.
Scary
like,
to ask questions.
Well, yeah, and it's stuff that directly conflicted what I've been like taught so much. And at the beginning, I didn't really have a lot of patience for it. Like, I remember we got in a massive argument in Miami about a heavy topic.
Wow.
That
We got in multiple massive arguments.
Yeah, and I didn't have any grace for it.
No.
Which is what's hilarious.
You were like, if you're not reading the Bible, I don't know where you're getting your education from. And I was like,
very good reenactment. Very accurate.
Whoa.
I mean, there's semi-truth to that, but there's not like all truth to that. And what I'm saying is I didn't have understanding. Like, there wasn't room for you to question.
Right.
And I had to freaking come out of that. Through that was like a year long. Her just like,
it was hard.
And I was just trying to figure out, what the hell do I do? Like, well, how do I talk? How do I pray? How do I whatever? But it's funny because that's a correlation to what you're talking about. How the church perceives those who question. They don't have. It's hard to have grace for something that is directly conflicting with what you have been taught for so long. There's almost this instinctual reaction that it's 9 times out of 10 violent, whether it's emotionally or even mentally. There's this feeling that our faith is being violently attacked, and we need to
Defend.
freaking bow up.
Right.
Yep.
And if somebody's saying something other than what we heard, then we need to freaking come at them, as opposed to being secure in your faith and understanding that other people's doubts and other people's questions don't lessen the faith that you have, or the realness that God is and how you prescribe. It just allows you to understand people on a deeper level, that people aren't just black and white. They're not just text on a page.
I feel like it's human nature too, though, to anyone that questions something that you have found identity in. So whether that is religion, God, the church, your career, politics, relationships, it threatens who you are as a person. And so in a sense, when we're questioning these things, these faith, when you talk to someone that's not secure in who they actually are, forget about religion, you're naturally going to get pushback, because you are not only questioning, I think sometimes the reason it is unquestionables, like you're not allowed to, is because you're questioning someone's identity because they haven't wrestled with it, because this is just who I am. This, like, do not, because they haven't gone through that breaking and that what rock bottom that we were talking about last episode is like that deconstructing to reconstruct. And I think if someone hasn't gone through that, you question the very core of someone who they are, whether it is, again, religion, God, church, relationships, politics, career. There's something in our human nature that doesn't want to go there with those things we've been taught.
Oh, because we're afraid of the answers.
Yeah. It's scary. It's scary.
And
It's unknown.
change is scary.
Well, you're questioning your foundation. You're questioning the principles that the foundation for you're building this house, and here's your foundation. And then you're like, oh, crap. Actually, this kind of cement that I used is not as strong as I thought, or whatever. You're just, you start questioning how you built things. You're like, oh, I don't want to question because I got to go and rebuild it all. And that's work.
Yeah.
That's effort.
It took forever.
That's research.
Yeah.
That's
Takes time.
Yeah. It's deconstructing is painful.
Yeah.
You know, and it's lonely. You feel lonely. I remember when I first started asking questions, I started to feel, I saw this vision of me on this little boat, and it was nighttime, and I was floating out into the ocean at night, and I could see the city lights on shore, and I was getting further and further away until I couldn't see the city lights. And I was just me in this little boat in the dark in the middle of the ocean. And to me, it was like I had done the work of like asking all these questions and like cutting myself loose from things that I said, oh, I don't subscribe to that anymore, clip. I don't subscribe to that anymore, clip. Next thing you know, I'm out by myself in the middle of the ocean. And it's like, okay, I don't subscribe to these things anymore, but what do I believe?
Right.
Because now I'm out here by myself.
Right.
So it's that idea of deconstructing, but now it's time to reconstruct and figure out what do I believe, and that takes work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think when you go through a deconstruction phase, I think the danger is to stop at the deconstruction.
Yeah.
Because to rebuild is overwhelming and exhausting. But if we don't reconstruct, then again, you're in a lifeboat without any like paddles to go anywhere. And God welcomes the questions, but I think there is still this thing in the back of our mind of like, I've broken down all the lies, but to seek the truth, which everyone might be different, to me is God, is like, that's terrifying, because what's the answer going to be? So we don't want to go and do that, because already to get to this point was a lot of work.
Yeah.
But if we don't reconstruct, that's where I do fear for people. But
Yeah. I'm to the point where I'm asking questions like I don't even, not that I don't care, but like I'm
little
in,
things.
Like I'm in the car with ELYSE's dad, who's a pastor who trains pastors. He's pastor of pastors, you know? And I'm like,
that's a thing.
I'm like, Dad, hey, Dad. Not really.
That was
I
good,
didn't-
babe.
But
I
she
was
did
trying-
say,
I was
"Hey,
trying.
Dad."
I did. I was like, hey, Dad, how do you feel about psychics? Like, what's your thing about that?
On our way to
And-
church before he speaks.
Yeah. And he was like about to go into a message at church, and I'm trying to like ask him about psychics and like, so do you think it's bad, or like, have you ever done like a psychic thing, or why wouldn't you do? And I'm just like trying to like, cause I know I've been taught psychics are bad. Like all that spirit stuff, don't mess with it. But I'm like, is it bad? What do you think, Dad? Like now I'm an adult and I can actually ask questions. So what do you think about it?
I kind of
And
feel
it's
like that's a terminology
it's
question, because all the
5
psychic
minutes to before he pulls up to preach, and I go, oh, should we talk about this later? And he's like, yeah. Can we?
Yeah, that's great.
at least my simple mind just goes to a psychic, you know, it's just terminology. Like the difference between a psychic and a prophet is what? It's just the source of where they're getting their information.
Right, and they can be, to me, but again, we're
Even
like,
though.
Right? Because a psychic, what?
There's-
They're
there-
known for telling the future. They'll read your palm, they'll do whatever, but all they're doing is consulting the universe, a medium, whatever, and asking to see the future, right?
yes, but
Okay,
coming
but
from
what if
two
that's
very
God?
different foundations.
So,
So
that,
what
what
if
I'm
a
saying,
psychic
the
person-
difference between a psychic and and a prophet is where they get their source of information.
Yeah, but what happens
where
with the
they're
two
calling.
different sources? What is the outcome of that?
That's what I'm saying. It all depends on where they're getting it from. What are you calling on to get your source? You feel what I'm saying?
Okay, so what if there's a psychic person who says, I'm not affiliated to any religion, but I do feel that God
I'm tapping
speaks
into
to
the
me
collective consciousness.
and tells me things.
Well, she can call it whatever she wants, but if she's he.
Yeah. I was
So
like,
if you
person.
If
you
they're
subscribe
contacting
to the
God-
thought that if a person can see the future, whether they're prophetic or psychic, if a person can see the future, unless they say Jesus told me, then you don't subscribe to it.
No, I didn't say whether
No,
I
I'm
subscribe
asking.
either one. I'm saying because in the Bible they had psychics. They had people that could tell, and they were very valuable to people. Like it was a thing. Like you can see the future. You can tell us what's going to happen. So all I'm saying is, in terms, the terminology, the difference between a psychic and a prophet is where they source from. But they both do the same thing.
But that wasn't the question she asked Dad, for example.
You're right.
You said,
Just what's your thought on psychics? Do you think it's bad?
Brandon, I feel like you were going to say something.
Yeah, it can be bad. I think it also could be good. I'll just leave it at that. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. I was like,
Well, no,
wait.
this is the thing. There are people who naturally are just in tune with other people. Like, I believe that all mankind, we are all connected in a way that we
Yes.
can't really describe.
Yes.
Like, there are sometimes, like, you could project thoughts in other people and they pick up on that, you know? And so there's some people who, again, I can't see hearts. But I would venture to say there are probably some psychics who don't even really know that other source. Somehow they've naturally been gifted with the gift to being able to see things that us normal people can't see. And maybe for them, it's some man with a white beard who gives them all their information. And who's to say that that source isn't the one that we would identify as Jesus or the Holy Spirit? So I think like it's in a way, it can be bad. Like if someone's like, "Hey, I just sold my soul to the devil," and he gives
Well,
me
that's
all
what
the
I'm
information.
saying. Like if you know your source,
yeah, in an extreme
if you are
situation.
calling on something, like there's stories of people that call on satanic things or you know, voodoo or this and that they know that they're sourcing their information, or they're desiring for evil to speak to them so that it can have some kind of power, because there's just a malice inside of them. But then there's people who, like Brandon says, they just hear stuff. Who they're hearing it from, who knows? What I feel about them, I don't feel anything about them.
Okay.
You know what I'm
Here's the
saying?
thing.
I don't consult
I
mediums.
have a friend
You have a
who
lot of
is
It's great.
very prophetic,
Yeah.
as you would say in the Christian world.
Okay,
She's
you
very-
say that as well. But
Yeah.
But listen,
Yeah.
no, but what I'm saying is
Yeah.
she didn't grow up Christian. She became Christian later after college, right? She grew up no religion, nothing. But she was psychic since she was a child. She knew things. She could see things. She would tell people things about themselves. So not growing up in the church, she was like, I have psychic tendencies. Like I can hear things and see things, and I can tell people things. Then after college, she becomes Christian. She still has the same gift. She just changed the label from psychic to prophet. So in that sense, a psychic is not bad.
No, it's a similar story. I got a friend, and before he got saved, he just knew things about people.
Right.
So he grew up where like roasting on people is kind of a love language. Like my upbringing, roasting on your boys, that was like kind
Right.
of like, hey, I love you, but hey,
very
look at you, hey,
Australian.
look at your haircut, you know, whatever.
Right.
And so he would always know these secrets about guys, and he would always win all these roast battles. Like he just be roasting on guys, and guys were like,
He'd be like, you cheating on your
damn, bro, you're
girlfriend.
exposing
He's like,
all my secrets in front of everybody, you know?
That's crazy.
And he got saved. And so again, like it's the same guy, I guess a little bit of a different heart, but in one age it's a sidekick, in the other age he's a prophet.
Well, I
Yeah.
think you don't know what you don't know, first of all. So who's to say that girl wasn't hearing from God, and that was one of the ways he was pursuing her, was all things like that.
Yeah.
The Bible doesn't say we can judge anyone. It says we can judge one thing, and that's fruit. And so what's the fruit that's coming of, or what's the result? What's the production that is coming of that person's gift or that person's effort or work? And I think there's that story, that girl Akian, that she was like in the story, like heaven is for real, and she grew up in a family of atheists and had no TV. God was never like ever mentioned. And then one day she paints this picture of what she called Prince of Peace. And it was a picture of like what we would know as Jesus, or the picture we have of him. So how do you know that's that? And I just think, Britta, it goes back to your thing of how do we know? Well, faith is faith. You believe, but you doubt, but you like it's a mystery.
Yeah.
So why do we have to know the black and white answers to everything? I think you check the results of somebody's life, you check what happens with that, and you look at the way things go over time. A one hit wonder is like nowhere to be found after a while. But I think when you know it's God, terminology is terminology, but I think fruit is a whole different thing. And so that's how you can know what something is and what it is, what the foundation of that is from, is what I think.
I say all this to say I want to meet Tyler Henry, the medium. So I just want everyone's approval is what this is about.
With that said,
I love you as a
Bobise,
person.
what is your lie that you
My
were sold?
lie that I was sold as a pastor at a church. A pasta.
Oh, that's
Australian
that,
accent
American
going
of you.
somewhere there.
that is literally what
Gonna
you
get
eat with
so-
spaghetti sauce.
So much crap from Australians when they hear American
Pasta.
accents. Pastor.
Oh, wow.
I know, I'm very good at it. Thank you so much. I think the lie that I believed, and again, it's all in the terminology, isn't it, Manuel?
It is.
That I don't know if I was sold it by church, but like I said last time, I think the church can preach suggestions and we take them as theology, especially as church kids. And I think something I saw, and I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of church. I think you're in church 5 minutes and you see that, but it's your choice, what you can do with it too. But I think what I believed from what I saw was that secrets kept you on stage, and bringing secrets out meant that you were off stage. And as a kid, I had so many secrets. It's one of the things I grew up with was secrets. No one knew about my life. I am a 3 on the Enneagram, if anybody's wondering. And you learn to keep secrets because you learn to give this false vulnerability of yourself to people because you're this chameleon and know what you need to be to each room. Talking about like insight into people and atmospheres. It's an instinct. And so unfortunately that means I grew up most of my life up until the last maybe year and a half, honestly, has been this half truth of myself, but keeping the really dark, gross things secret, because if I bring them out and tell them to people, then I'm going to be taken off stage. And that's the other lie, is like that the stage is the be all and end all of church. Church equals stage, church equals preaching, church equals YouTubes and being invited to speak places and books written and being friends with the famous pastors. And I just think all of that has created this false thing of what church is. And I just wonder if Jesus was here now, would he call this church or not? And I think for me, growing up, keeping secrets, to me, the idea of telling the truth was terrifying because I did not want to be seen as broken, because to me, broken people didn't have anything to say. And
They're not on stage.
I think the ironic thing is now, having been broken and kind of enjoying the authenticity that's starting to come with it, I realize I have more to say with the things that I kept secret than I ever did before without giving voice to them. So
That's deep.
That's good.
That's good.
well, thanks.
That's
I'm
deep.
pretty deep these days.
Somebody get my floaties.
So dumb.
Ew.
I like that. No, because secrets do. I mean, secrets in marriage too. Whenever you're able to open up about. I mean, secrets kill marriages. I don't know.
Secrets kill everything.
Yeah, I know. Me and my wife, when we got hella honest, it's just got better.
And stronger.
Amazing. Yeah, like it's been good. Like now, there's no fear. There's like literally no fear when you tell each other like your deepest, darkest crap. That usually people hide. There's like no fear of being found out. It's like, yeah, this is what I struggle with. This is what I deal with. This is what I do. This is what you do. It's crazy.
And here's what I'd say is the reason, like, I thought keeping secrets would make sure that I was still like able to be on stage and on platform. Qualified. Thank you. Exactly right. Would be qualified to be on stage. But the thing I realized is that the shame that comes with those secrets will eventually take you out anyway.
Yeah.
And so the quicker you tell the truth, the quicker you shame the devil. Tell the truth, shame the devil.
Put it on a shirt.
Somewhat quickly. Trademark that. The quicker you do that, the freer you are to learn the lesson, have the truth, have the freedom, and do what you've always done and figure out who you are in the process. Some people can't handle secrets, and that's cool. But you quickly find out the people that want to walk with you through those seasons, that everything's out in the open and your heart is on your sleeve and it's broken and you're a little bit bleeding and you don't have the Instagrammable moments. You learn the people who are going to be with you in the long run.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's what I
good.
Babe,
Yeah.
what's your lie?
My lie that I bought.
She said that as if like she was the wife trying to find out what the lie was.
What you
So
what you
Manuel,
lying about?
What's your lie?
The lie that I bought that was sold to me was that if I was right, I was righteous. And what that means is it didn't matter about understanding somebody's point of view or where they were at in life. It only mattered this thing that I was trying to sell them, that I had to be right in all my theology. I remember this story with my sister. My sister kind of like went into this Jehovah's Witness realm. And when I found out, I drilled her so hard. And I didn't even care that it was my sister at this point. I was like, I'm going to be right. I'm going to prove to her that I'm right. My way's right. Her way's wrong. I don't care. Right? Because it's about witnessing. It's about telling people the truth. It's about telling people that there's only one way. There's only one way. It's not Buddha. It's not Krishna. It's not, all that crap that you hear from the pulpit.
The cadence pieces.
There's just one
To end the
way.
sermon.
And so I'm like coming at her like, there's just one way.
Right.
And you're not
Start singing
doing
One
it
Way
right,
Jesus.
And my sister was like so taken back that I lost all love for her. I just wanted to be right.
Yeah.
Because I was taught if I can get these people to believe what I think, then that means I am a righteous witness for the Lord. And she freaking stopped talking to me for like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't even family. We weren't anything for 2 years. And I realized, but I was doing it constantly.
Yeah.
I had some Mormons that I work with, and I was like, let me show you something. I went into their Bible and I showed them boom, 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 boom.
Molded you.
And I was like trying to school
don't you want to
them.
believe what I believe?
And the whole time I was like, yo, I'm
Yeah.
doing it. I'm witnessing. Like I'm killing it because I'm telling people
everybody
what's
hates
real.
me.
I'm telling people how wrong they are.
Let me tell you something though. This guy stopped working with me
Wow.
at Chick-fil-A. He quit his work because I showed him something that I proved him wrong, and he couldn't argue back. He didn't have enough
And you
mental
lost the
power
relationship.
that he just left the job, and I never saw him again. And so I started questioning. I was like, damn, is being right like really worth it? Like, is it worth it the way I'm going about it? Because I was losing people, and the idea of God that I was trying to sell them wasn't attractive.
Yeah.
It was just, get the message. And when I would listen to people talk, I didn't listen to them. I was waiting to
respond.
get my response
Yeah.
in. I was just waiting. Like,
To
tell me
debate.
what you want, but then I'm going to tell you that this is the answer. This is the answer. Go to this scripture, and this is the answer. And they could be telling them about the hardest thing, but all I cared about was, when do I get to tell them this scripture that I learned
wrong.
or this scripture that I learned? Because I just studied to prove people wrong instead of just loving people.
Yeah.
And not that the word, it's good for instruction. It's good for all these things. And I guess at the end of the day, somebody has to be right. But at this point in life, I don't care if that person is me. I got into an argument with a friend recently, and I don't want to name names, but this nigga has to be right. And we was going at it, and he asked me, prove to me why you're right. And I was like, I don't have to. But I know you need to be right. You feel like you know it all.
Yeah.
You feel like you got this. Like you have all the answers. So there's something in you that feels like you have to be right. The awesome thing with my life right now is I don't think I have to be right. And there's a relief in that. There's a relief in knowing that I don't know everything. And for me to think that I know enough to school anybody else on life is asinine. It's stupid. I don't know why I used to think that I could do it, but I found out that it was like, I'm never going to be smart enough to be one up on someone else, to be able to tell them, hey, you should do this because I think it's right. And you should do what I do and what I believe. Now it's just more like, how can I effectively like love you? Like legitimately. And I'm not like being sappy, like, oh, throw the Bible out. Let's just be all about love and all this. But when
also,
it comes to,
I was
you're
waiting
not,
for Angela to
you're
respond to
not
that.
saying, how can I love you to get you to think what I think? Like
No,
loving
right.
with no agenda.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I found out that anyone can tell you that you're wrong. A lot of people can prove to you that you're wrong, but very few people can love you through a process. Like what you were talking about, who's going to walk with me? Because nobody, that's like real work. That's stuff where we don't have answers. Like when somebody's relationship ends and you can't figure out why did the other person do what they did?
Yep.
There's not enough sorries. There's not enough, oh girl, you'll be all right. You'll move on. It's literally
There's
just,
not enough I told you so's.
let's
There's
just
not-
walk with them and love them. As many nights they gotta cry, as many nights that they gotta bring up, they get angry and you just want to say, move on, this person's bad for you. You don't.
Yeah.
You just love on them and you be like, I'm here. You want to go out for ice cream, you want to do whatever. And I found more effective relationships
Yep. That is
in just
so
learning how to
preach.
love people
Preach.
than needing to be right or so-called righteous. And now that's just kind of how I live my life. It's just
Dude.
love, and then we learn together. Then we can pick up that book and learn together, and cool. If we learn some things, that's amazing. But it needs to start with love. It needs to start there because it breaks all defenses. It breaks the idea of needing to be right. I
Yeah.
need to be right so that I can show you that I'm right. You know what I'm saying? So that's a lie that bought. And you know, and for all this, you know, like for those of you that are listening, there's no anger towards these. When you hear church, you see an institution, you see the place that you go to on Sunday or Wednesdays or all the days like I was.
Or you
But
see the place that you don't go to.
You don't go to that
because
hurt
of
you
all these
or that
things.
whatever.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is not. It's not based in anger or bitterness towards this thing. It's an understanding that as you walk out your faith, as you walk it out, your salvation, and you work it out with God, there's going to be things that life is literally going to break your understanding of what you thought was real and what wasn't. There's going to be a time where some of you have tithed all your life and you get kicked out of an apartment because you ain't got no money and you're trying to figure out, wait a minute.
Right.
I was tithing 10%. What happened?
up?
There's going to be you who prayed for your husband or your wife and then they bounced. They cheated on somebody. They did something. There's going to be, life is going to show you, you know, the holes in your faith. But don't run from it. Don't be scared. Don't, just embrace it, man. This life is a biatch, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
but she'll be nice to you sometimes too.
What you were saying, man, that's so right on. I remember reading this book. It really changed my life, actually. I mentioned him, I think, either earlier today or last episode about Brian Zahn. He had this book called Beauty Will Save the World. And he talks about how, especially my dad's generation, I remember them, it's like everything was apologetics, right? It's like, you're going to go to college and you're going to debate Muslims and Hindus and every other religion. And these are the
Until
truths
you
you
get
need
it
to
right.
know. And these are the holes in their faith. And this is the verse that you use. And these people would pass out these tracts like, you know, turn or burn. Like, if you don't believe in Jesus, then you're going to hell. There's still some people who subscribe to that way of evangelizing, and it's not very effective. And so Brian Zahn argues in this book, he says, I think the thing that we've mostly been missing out of our Christianity is not the apologetics. It's not our truth claims. It's not our morality, but it's the aesthetic of the gospel, and that's beauty. And he talks about, when was the last time you looked at someone's life and said, man, that's beautiful? Like, what if Christianity wasn't
Wow.
supposed to be this protest song that we're marching down the streets with? But what if it was this beautiful song? And I just think like beauty has this way, and love and what you're talking about, like there's this beautiful aspect to love, and it has a way of going past all these walls and defenses that we put up in our heart and reaching us in that spot that only it could. And so it's funny because sometimes I find myself asking the question, not is it right, but is it beautiful?
That's good.
And because I think like, what if the world looked at the way that we walked out our faith and said, man, it is beautiful the way they love people. It is beautiful that the way that they give space at the table for people who disagree with them. It's beautiful for all the people that they're having dinner with that they shouldn't.
Yep.
The people that they're friends with that they shouldn't be friends with. I think the world would listen a lot more to what Christians have to say if they saw just how beautiful the gospel could be in our life. Oof. You know? And so,
man, with that said,
let's pray.
To those people, to those people that are listening, to those people who are watching on YouTube, even to those people who are literally right now commenting the worst, most anger-filled hatred that you're going to do, hey, the only thing you will get from this group of people is love. No matter how much anger spews, like, we understand where it's coming from, and we just want to love you. Like, even to those people who are going to hate on everything that's been said, you have a seat at the table. We really do genuinely believe that. We're not scared of new thoughts. We're not scared of your anger. We're not scared of your hurt. We're not scared of anything, really, because we understand even in ourselves, man, that we're just, this life is unfolding, and we're grateful to have the people at this table to do it with. You know what I'm saying? So with that, we appreciate you listening. We really do. If you like what you're hearing, subscribe on all those things, and keep following us. But we're going to end it with a toast.
Yes, we are.
I still got a little bit more.
You
All
got it.
right. All right.
Yes, sir. We pray and hope that you have a seat at the table. But if you don't, you're always welcome at ours.
Cheers.
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 Let's get this Pinot.
Oh my gosh.